Hi! Within this lecture, we're going to try and finalize our ARP poison attack. So in order to do that, first, we have to create a target MAC variable in here, and since we have this get MAC address thing, we can just give it the target IP input from here and get the target MAC returned, so that I can just delete this hardware destination keyword and make it equal to target MAC. So now I'm ready to run this ARP poisoning since I know the MAC address of the target. So I don't have to call this get MAC address down below, right? What do I have to do? I have to call ARP poisoning once for target IP and then for router as well. So what do? We call ARP poisoning, and first we give the target IP as real target device IP. Okay, so this is 10.02.8 for Windows and 10.02.1 for router. So 10.02.8, then the poisoned IP will be 10.02.1. Then we do the exact opposite, okay? So we tell 10.02.1 and 10.02.8 later on, because in here we are telling the target device that we are router, and in here we are telling router that we are target device. So remember, we have to change these values and do this twice. That's what we did in the ethical hacking part as well, remember? Okay, I think we are done here. Let me save this and let's run this from terminal and see if it actually works with Windows. So my Windows is also running in the background. So if I call this, okay, if I hit enter, it will send one packet to router and one packet to Windows. So let me go back to Windows and see if it actually worked. So if I run ARP-A to see ARP tables, as you can see, it really changed the router MAC address. So this is the router here, 10.02.1, and it has a physical MAC address with the same as Kali Linux. So they both have the same MAC address. So our attack actually worked. So let me try and connect to the internet here. So let's try google.com. Yeah, it works. So I think there is nothing wrong with the IP forwarding as well. So our attack actually works. If I call this once more, then I will see the same thing. But there is a problem with that. We are only sending one packet, and one packet may change this ARP table, may change the MAC address of the router, but it won't last long, okay? It may have an effect of like 1 minute or 2 minutes, but later on it will be reset and our attack will fail after 1 minute. In fact, when it comes to the ARP packets, it is risky to send one packet at all. Maybe this would have failed in the first place. We have to make sure that we send it more than one time to change the MAC address of the router. And yet, if it really succeeds, then it will be reset after a couple of minutes. To test this, just go back to your Windows and run ARP-A after a minute or two to see it returns to the original state. So let me run ARP-A once more here and see if it returned back to original, and it didn't. If I run again, now I see this has in fact returned to the original MAC address in here. So do I have to run this Python from terminal every second or every minute? No, instead we have to figure out a way to run this continuously until user clicks on exit or just hit Ctrl C on keyboard. So we have to make a loop, right? So let's go back to our code here, and let me give my password, and let me open PyCharm once more. So we have to make sure that this ARP poisoning function goes on until it's interrupted. Can you think of a way to do that? If you just write while true and take all of this and hit tab and make it run under while loop, it will run continuously, right? So this will go on and on until somebody closes down our program. But if we do it like this, it will be too much and it will crash eventually. So we have to make sure it stays for a while after it goes back to the beginning of the loop. So in here, under the second line, I have to say sleep. So let me import the related library here. It is time, okay, and it lets us work with timing things in Python. And if you say at the end of this loop, time and time dot sleep, okay, it will sleep for some specific seconds. Let me say 3, for instance. What it means that it will run this loop, it will do the ARP poisoning and sleep for 3 seconds, and then it will do the same thing once more, and it will go on and on continuously. So let me try this once more, and as you can see, now my software doesn't stop. It just continues to run until I hit Ctrl C. And if I go back here and run ARPA, then I will see my MAC address has been changed again. And it won't go back to the original one this time because I'm still running this in here. And if I hit Ctrl C, then it will stop. And as you can see, we got an error here saying keyboard interrupt, and we will deal with that later on. But as you can see, we got a lot of messages, a lot of verbose activities going on inside of our terminal. So let's get rid of these messages first, then we are going to deal with the error message as well. So in order to just get rid of these messages that we see on terminal, all you have to do is tell the scapy to not print out these logs in terminal. So in here I will say ARP response, comma, verbose is false. Okay, verbose means just write everything to the log. Okay, so let's try this way. Let's run this one more time, and we are still getting these messages. So let me stop this and go back to the coding section, because I think we have one other sending request from scapy up here. Okay, scapy.srp. Remember, this is again a send method as well. So let me say verbose is false in here also. Then let me save this and try once more. So if I run this now, hopefully we won't get any messages. As you can see, we're not getting any messages. So we got rid of this verbose thing, and let me see, yeah, it still works. But again, not getting any message is also disturbing. So we have to take care of it, and we have to take care of this keyboard interrupt error message. And let's stop here and do this in the following lecture.